What's up?
What's up? What's
Hi everybody, and welcome to episode God knows what of What We Tell the Kids. My beautiful wife, ladies and gentlemen, Roxanne Singh.
Hiya. Hello everybody. I am feeling so sleepy. I must not lie.
Sleepy. Feeling sleepy.
Yeah, we're trying to make sure that we are dedicated and committed to this podcast. So that is the reason why we will put the sleep aside and do this.
We've been saying that and then we disappear, but you have to be happy about the fact that we've been doing this consistently for the last 3 weeks. So, yeah. This is the third week, I think. What's our topic for today, my baby?
All right. So, look, I have a few friends of mine. And you know, my friends are my biggest supporters, and I'm so grateful for you guys. But I have a few friends that are going through some stuff, and they always send me suggestions. And this is one that I've sort of not wanted to talk about, but I think let's do it, right?
We're airing out all your friends' dirty laundry.
Yeah, that's why I say friends, and it's very ambiguous because
that's very bad of you.
It's friends, colleagues, acquaintances, people I know, just the general people consensus that have just wanted us to say things that they can't say. All right, this is what it's about.
Sounds good. Let's go for it.
So, my love, you remember when we got pregnant, right?
I got pregnant? Yeah, no, I get you, yes.
There was a lot about me that changed as a person. And, you know, the person that you knew wasn't necessarily gone, but there was just a lot of changes, hormonal changes, and a lot of changes within the body and mind and soul that had happened that also contributed into who I was and who I was becoming. So as a husband, as a father, as somebody that I look to for support, how did you handle that whole situation? Because I know that there were times, starting from the very first day that we found out about us being pregnant, right up until the end. I know you was one of those very supportive people, but how did you feel? I've never asked you that question. Looking back now, the clear mind, how did you feel about the whole
thing? I felt absolutely incredible about the entire thing. It was the first baby boy in our family, and it was an overwhelming experience. To get to go through the entire fatherhood thing was absolutely amazing, and I'm enjoying it still till today, and I can't believe that I'm still doing it today. There was not a point where I felt overwhelmed, but I will say one thing in terms of your hormonal changes, and this would apply to the general public that's watching this. If your husband is a type of individual that has bad habits, and habits such as drinking, alcoholism, smoking, whatever it may be, remember, I came from a past where I was a bachelor, and then I led into marriage, and then we had our first child, and I thought I could bring all of these bad habits with me. Trust me, when the pregnancy happened, an ultimatum took place, and all of that disappeared. So there's a lot of good positivity that comes from an aggressive wife that's going through a lot of changes at that point, and it's parenting kicking in. You want to see the man that's going to raise your child be an example that child would want to lead by, and I completely support it. So to the women out there, put an ultimatum on those men of yours, especially if they have filthy habits that you want to get rid of. Do it now before it's too late. You're preserving their health, and you're also preserving the ideology and the love and the dynamic that your children grow up in.
Yeah, of course. I think no woman wants to be married to a man that is not a good example to her children. And I think the main thing is because in our case, we had 2 girls already, and they already had a certain expectancy of you, and you were already, thrown into the deep end, and you had to be dead. So I think that was the easier route for you coming on board. But with our baby, from the female perspective, the changes that was happening in the body and in the mind and all of that was going on at the time, you become so upset you become so protective of this little creature and this little child and this little baby that you are creating that is yours.
Son, when you watch this in the next 15 years, your mother called you a creature.
Lovingly. But you become so attached to this child even before you even know whether it's a viable pregnancy or not. You don't care. From the day you find out that you are carrying a baby, I don't care what society says. If it's a wanted pregnancy, it is a viable pregnancy from the get-go. Unless and until God says it isn't, that's when it isn't. But my point is that from that day that you know that you are carrying this child, you become so protective. And you want to start molding and shaping the world to conform so that it is a safe place for your baby. And nobody and nothing matters to you at that point. And shame on you on those mothers out there that don't feel this way. Because you should be putting your all into making sure that you bring this baby into a world that's safe and protected.
Yeah, but you say shame on the mothers, and I will stand up for the mothers out
look
there.
at you.
And the reason why I stand up for the mothers is, if you are, for instance, a mother that has no other support but the man in your life, then you feel like you have no voice. To those women out there, you really need to dig deep and look into your priorities. And I ask you this very politely, to introspect what you wish the future is for your children. And ultimately, there's help in many ways, family support and so on. So if you're coming from an environment and you're living within an environment that's terrible, pull yourself out. Do it gradually, take your time, but make the necessary changes for the sake of children. I mean, kids are such innocent, unspoken joys of this world, that if you really wanted to raise them in a difficult life, then you shouldn't have had children in the first place.
Yeah, I agree. That's why I say, any mother that doesn't put and prioritize their child, shame on you. End of story. Because if you have to put yourself in this position where you can say, I am going to make sure that my child is always taken care of, always put first, always prioritized, then you'll always do what's best for your child, no matter what.
Shame!
Shame! Fine, whatever. I stole a stupid poem.
If you have not watched Modern Family, then shame on you.
Yeah. So look, let's just get straight into it, right? I expected a husband that supported me. End of story. It supported the fact that I didn't allow smoking, drinking, narcotics, any kind of
Narcotic.
any kind of substance abuse, any kind of verbal languages around my kids. I do not condone swearing. Not that I don't like it or I don't want to hear it. It's part of who we are, because
You don't do it in
happens.
front of your children.
But yes, in front of my kids,
Sometimes
it
just comes out.
Yes, but it is never ever
You know,
accepted.
1-2 bad words. 1-2 bad words come out.
No, what I'm saying is those are things boundaries that I've put in place for 3 of my kids that I hope that they take into their families one day, because it's the main things about bringing up your children in a place where they understand what's right and wrong. And there's just certain things that are wrong. I do not accept those things in front of my kids, whether you're my friends, whether you're my family. If you're doing it in front of my kids, know that I don't like you. And I probably am just not going to allow you in my life when my kids are around. So that's just how it is.
Moving on, what else do you want to discuss around this topic?
Yeah, so some fun facts, right? If you didn't know and you're one of those dads that are just sitting there thinking, let my wife do all these things that are happening with the pregnancy and I don't need to know anything because my wife let me know. Let me school you so that you can act like you know everything when your wife asks you a question, okay? So pregnancies are dated from the first day of your partner's last period. Okay, remember that. So when the doctor says your pregnancy is 14 weeks, remember, that's what they're talking about, okay? And the first 3 months of the pregnancy is called the first trimester. That is the most painful one.
The first semester.
First trimester.
I was going to say semester.
It's called trimester 3, and it is the most painful because it is your body starting to adapt. It's also very painful for the dad because that's when all the hormones just hit mom all at once.
That's when I started. Experiencing all the food cravings.
Yes.
I started eating.
Yeah.
I still haven't lost the stomach.
That's also
from it.
when moms and wives get very irritated with their partner. Very irritated because you don't understand what's going on with us. We want to constantly throw up, but we're also constantly hungry, but we're also constantly full. So there's a lot going on with the woman, and shame. Be kind. Be very kind, because what goes on in our bodies, it's not fun. It's not anything we've asked for. We don't want to be mean. It's just there, okay? And bleeding in first trimester is very bad. Very, very bad. So if that happens, please take your loved one and take it seriously. There is no, let's see if it gets better in the morning. Just go. Go to the hospital and get sorted, okay? And then also hormone levels in the first trimester, like I said, very hard, very... Look, I'm of the opinion, everything in the world, including family, including functions, including getaways, including reunions and all the other things that you potentially want to do as a husband and as the rest of the family, please be kind to her and take into consideration that maybe she just doesn't want to attend, not because she's being mean, because these things are hard for us.
Yeah, but look, there's a difference. And one thing that I want to apologize publicly on camera to a lot of my friends who I missed your weddings and I didn't intentionally mean to miss them. There's a period within a woman's pregnancy where it's not viable to travel.
Yeah.
And I unfortunately couldn't make the 4 or 5 hour drive to a lot of your weddings, and it broke my heart completely. Whilst I was beaming with happiness that my son was on his way, it was also an important thing to factor that one slip up on a road and you don't have not just an unborn child, you have nothing. And it's a risk that you shouldn't take. Even a 15-minute drive from your house to the nearest mall could be risky at some point during a pregnancy. Now, that's probably because I'm a pedantic person and I want to take all matters into my own hands and rule out any possibility for error. A lot of people are very trusting and they'd like to, do the things. Take a flight when you're really heavily pregnant or whatever the case is, even though it's not recommended and not allowed. Falsify documents, whatever. I'm not that person. I don't encourage you to be that person. Be safe. Stay in your house. Relax.
Yeah.
Enjoy the pregnancy and have it be as intimate as possible, because that too is a memory that you'll never get back.
Yeah, that's
and
true.
that's a version of your wife you probably will never see again.
That's true. And the thing is, look, morning sickness and all of the other symptoms that come with pregnancy is so painful for a woman, and we don't always want to be mean about it. Like I was telling hubby, we went and stopped going. Oh, sorry, not we went. We stopped going for a lot of things because of the fact that I was just being a horrible person. I couldn't stand the smell of meat. I think for the first couple of months of my pregnancy, I couldn't take eating anything that had meat in it. I think I became a vegetarian for the first 6 months of the pregnancy. And it was so horrible to go to someone's house and they offer you food and you just want to throw up in their face. It's not nice. And they don't always understand. And we didn't tell a lot of people about the pregnancy either. And it happened so...
Don't tell.
Yeah.
There's another thing. Don't tell.
Yeah.
And it's a very important point. It may be an Indian thing. If you've ever heard of bad eye, evil eye, whatever you want to call it, I don't know how you phrase it, but the scientific fact is not everyone means well for you.
Yeah,
right?
sure.
Not everyone means well for you. If you want to look at it from a positivity, negativity point of view, in terms of attachment, emotion, feelings, etc., not everyone means well for you. Do not draw negativity towards yourself and your family during a pregnancy, or anything for that matter. If you achieve successes, keep it contained. If you're pregnant, you don't have to publicize it. It doesn't have to be the first thing you do when you get pregnant. When you get pregnant, to post it on TikTok. Grow up.
Yeah, I agree. So, yes. So, there's certain things that we just didn't do, I couldn't do, and I think the husbands need to be more, what's the word? Supportive. Like, I feel like sometimes not everybody understands. Family don't understand. And that's where husbands need to step up and say, okay, let me take the reign on this, because not every wife just has the ability to say, I can't do this, or I can't do that, or whatever. All right. And then let's go more into this. Work out the due date together. Remember due date and how that works. Be a little, I think for the husbands, the main thing is to be supportive. I mean, you cannot physically carrying this child, but you are carrying your wife's emotions. You're carrying her, keeping her together. You're making sure she is sane. She is fed, even if she doesn't eat. I mean, just be there. Be that person that's present. And like my husband was just saying, the support is the main thing. There's certain changes that you can make in your lifestyle that make it easier for her. Do it.
You see, this goes back to a correlating podcast which we did previously, where I said alpha male, blah, 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 blah. The man's place is dominance, and you want to assert it, and you want to make sure that you're the provider and so on. So you think that just by taking care of the bill on the hospital and paying for the medical aid is good enough. It's never good enough in this circumstance. It's an issue where Eve unfortunately ate the apple. Now these are the circumstances that have been brought down to us, but the gift of a child is something that should never be ignored, because it is by far one of the most spiritually uplifting experiences you could ever enjoy. So in saying that, it's not just the birth of your child that you need to witness, it's the entire dynamic. Be there for the before, the after, the in between, and love every moment of it. And remember, if you thought PMSing and that sort of version of your wife was cruel, good luck for when she's pregnant. But be the man that stands up and does his goddamn job. It shows more true character to you than anything else.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, I'm so blessed. He was there for me through everything, and there's a lot of things that I asked of him that seemed ridiculous at the time. And if I look at it now, I don't think I would have survived if it wasn't for the little things that he did. He drying my hair. I couldn't even see down there at one point, and he helped me with so many things. I mean, shaving my legs. I remember one day. I
wasn't drying hair down there. Let me get that.
Drying my hair. I remember I have a picture of me sitting on this bath stool, I think it was, or something. Oh, it was a stepping stool, and I promise you that tummy was so huge. And there's my husband with a hair dryer and a comb behind me, and it was amazing. I remember there was a time when I said to him, I haven't seen my thighs in a long time. Yeah. And it was hectic. So he helped me to shave, and he helped me to prepare, carrying stuff around the house. That was his job. Even though I thought I could do it, and I usually did, but he would be there to help me with everything. Packing my hospital bag, making sure that I had all my stuff in order. Being involved in all the things that you think are little things, it's actually big things for us. So that really helps. Pro tip, get your wife to sleep on her left side. It's good for baby. It's good for blood circulation. So that's also very good. And ginger.
Ginger, carry on.
Ginger biscuits, and ginger helps with nausea. So
yeah, but it's also not a formula for everyone. And even though we are giving advice, I want to tell you that we are not trained professionals in this field of things. So we don't have all the answers. You're going to discover your pregnancy the way you find it fit to go through with it. And we just hope that by some advice that we can give, it helps. And more so than anything else, what we're giving you is things that a man should be doing for a woman and a woman should be doing for a man. So if you feel like you need a little bit more of that, speak up and ask for it. There's no harm in trying.
That's true.
Ladies and gentlemen, this has been... There we go. If you can hear that in the background, it's 20 minutes on the dot that we have to end this podcast so that we can get back to our family or to bed or to sleep or whatever. So, yes, thank you very much for joining us for this episode of What We Tell the Kids. We love you. We appreciate you. Thank you and bye.
Bye.